So we continue with the structure of the DNA. So we were just discussing that this is a nucleotide with a nitrogenous base. The nitrogenous base, one sugar molecule, a 5-carbon sugar molecule, and a phosphate group. So as a whole, this is known as a nucleotide. So here in this structure, I've tried to show you a combination of two nucleotides. So this is one nucleotide. The first nucleotide is connected to a second nucleotide. Again, here we see the type of nitrogenous bases here is thymine. Okay, thymine. This is again pentose, the second pentose sugar, and the phosphate group. So this phosphate group is linking the two nucleotides together. So this bond that links the two sugar molecules together, so this is known as the phosphodiester bond. So this bond, these two bonds are known as phosphodiester bonds. So we can say that this phosphate group is this phosphodiester bond is linking the two nucleotides together. And the other bond that we need to discuss here is the bond is known as N-glycosidic linkase. Okay, N-glycosidic linkase is a bond between a nitrogenous base and the sugar molecule, the first carbon of the sugar molecule, So this bond, okay, the bond here, so this bond is known as N-glycosidic linkase. So so these are the two bonds that we need to study here. And coming to the carbon atoms, we also because we need to find out the difference between DNA and RNA. In case of DNA, in case of first we'll discuss about RNA. In case of RNA, there is presence of OH group. There is one OH group which is present in the sugar molecule here at 2-carbon position of the sugar molecule. Okay, so if there is one OH group here, then it becomes ribonucleic acid. Like RNA has OH group at 2' position of the, this is sugar molecule that I have shown you. So this is for the structure of RNA. Okay, so in 2-carbon position there is a presence of one OH group. So this is ribonucleic acid. And the other one here on the right hand side, so this is for DNA. So the full form of DNA is deoxy. So that means there is removal of oxygen, that is OH group is removed from 2' position. So there is absence of OH group in 2' position. This is DNA, and OH group is present in 2' position of the pentose sugar. So this is RNA. So ribonucleic acid and deoxyribonucleic acid is DNA. So where there is no OH group. So this is one difference between DNA and RNA which you should remember. Besides that, DNA is generally DNA is always double-stranded. If we have to show in the form of this structure, suppose this is one strand of DNA we say, or one helix of DNA. Okay, okay, we had discussed the molecular level of structure of DNA. So if we show this by one line, okay, whatever is above this, okay, we had only discussed till here. So this is put in the form of one line. So this is here. So I've tried to show it as helix. So this is the one helix, this is other helix. So DNA is double-stranded. So it has two strands, whereas RNA is only single-stranded. It only has one helix. Double-stranded RNA hundaina, khali DNA se double-stranded huncha. So this is also one difference between DNA and the second difference, in fact, between DNA and RNA. Then coming back to the difference, the third difference between DNA and RNA is that we have already discussed just some time back that there is presence of thymine in DNA. Okay, the nitrogenous base thymine. Besides we discussed A, T, G, and C. We said this thymine is present only in DNA. and in place of thymine there is or instead of thymine there is presence of uracil, U for uracil. The other bases being the same, A, G and C, it is same, but there is no, in other words, there is no thymine present in RNA and there is no uracil in DNA. So this is the third point of difference between DNA and RNA. The fourth point of difference that we need to know is about the difference between DNA and RNA is that because there is a presence of OH group in RNA in 2' position of the sugar molecule, because this OH is there, group is there, that makes this RNA more reactive. RNA is reactive, therefore it is less stable, so it can be degraded easily, whereas because this OH group is absent in 2' position, DNA becomes more stable. That is one reason why DNA is stable. You could also get a question on why is DNA more stable than RNA. Then you need to always put this point that because of the presence of OH group in 2' position, this is called 2' position, okay, 2'. So we write like this, 2' position of the sugar molecule. Because of the presence of OH group, it becomes more reactive and therefore it is RNA is less stable, whereas because this OH group is absent in the 2' position in DNA is more stable. Also, the stability of the DNA is conferred by the presence of double helix in DNA, because the DNA has 2 helices, and because these 2 helices are also joined to each other by, suppose if there is adenine on one side here, adenine, the other, this is bonded by hydrogen bonds to thymine. So there is a bonding between adenine and thymine. Teste prakarle and if it is guanine here, it will be bonded to cytosine. Triple bonds between guanine and cytosine. So there is a bond between this nitrogenous bases. So these double helix is held together by this bond. So therefore that leads to additional stability of DNA, because the DNA is double helical in structure, it is more stable, and because the RNA is always single stranded, it is less stable than DNA. Now talking more about the double helical structure of DNA. So I had already shown this is one helix of DNA, this is the other helix of DNA. So 2 DNA strands or helix are joined together by hydrogen bonds which are present in between the nitrogenous bases. So this is adenine is bonded with thymine, and G for guanine is bonded with cytosine, and this adenine is always has 2 hydrogen bonds with thymine, and G is always bonded with cytosine and it has 3 bonds in between. So A bonds with T and G bonds with C. So now coming more, I'm taking this at a level of molecule. So like let us go back to the structure that we discussed previously. So this structure that we discussed, we started from here. So this is one nucleotide, okay, one nucleotide. I'll just circle one nucleotide. So this was one nucleotide. So this is connected to another nucleotide here, okay. So the second nucleotide, and we said there is a phosphodiester bond which connects these 2 nucleotides, and then this forms one helix, okay, one helix of the DNA. So it is forming one helix of DNA. So your Mathi Patiko is forming one helix, and the nitrogenous base, like here, adenine bonded with thymine, okay. So adenine bonded with thymine, I've shown it here, adenine bonded with thymine. So this is the other helix, the lower helix, okay. So there is hydrogen bonds in between A and T. So similarly, just like in the above helix, so this is the nitrogenous base, this is the pentose sugar, PS, pentose sugar, pentose for, because it has 5 carbons, penta, so therefore we are writing pentose sugar, and then the phosphate group. So there is a second what? Nucleotide, Okay, so this is again connected to the other nucleotide. Now, here we need to also look at the direction of the DNA. If we look at the direction of DNA, we can find the direction in fact by looking at the carbon atoms in the sugar molecule. So in the above helix we see this is the pentose sugar, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So towards the left hand side we write 5 prime. Okay, so 5 prime direction. We are talking about the direction of this helix, DNA helix. So left hand side is 5 prime. On the right hand side, at the we need to look again at the sugar molecule. 1, 2, 3. So extreme left. So there is presence of 3 carbon, the third carbon. So therefore we write 3 prime. So therefore your DNA amylase we can show in this form, and we can also write the direction. So this was left hand side was 5 prime. The other right hand side is 3 prime, this one. Okay, so this is 3 prime and this is 5 prime towards the left. So this we found out by looking at the position of the carbon atom. Then coming back to the other helix, if you look at the orientation of DNA, there it is oriented in an anti-parallel fashion, opposite fashion. Okay, so then the carbon atoms 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th carbon atom. So 5th carbon atom is towards the extreme right. So similarly here also on the other side. So if you have to again make this helix, so this way we can show. So towards the right hand side is 5 prime because the 5th carbon atom is towards the right hand side, and towards the extreme left, so this is 3 prime. Similarly eta pani left ma 3 prime of all nucleotides. Okay, 3 prime is towards the left, so therefore we write 3 prime. Okay, 5 prime. So therefore if we now come back to the structure and the direction, more specifically the direction, we see one helix, if it is 5 prime to 3 prime, the other helix is 3 prime to 5 prime. So we can also write in this form. Okay, 5 prime to 3 prime. Okay, one helix. So it was just like as we discussed, 5 prime to 3 prime, the other helix 3 prime to 5 prime. So we have shown it. So 3 prime to 5 prime. So we can also put it like this. So we say this DNA is running in anti-parallel fashion. It is parallel, but it is direct. Its orientation is in opposite direction. So that is known as anti-parallel orientation. So this is the anti-parallel orientation of the 2 strands of DNA. Now, the presence of an acidic substance in the nucleus of a cell was first studied by Friedrich Miescher in 1869, and he gave an idea that it is the DNA that is the or the nuclein that is the acidic substance present in the nucleus of a cell. Later on, in the year 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick, they proposed the double helical structure of DNA, of which you have studied in the maybe class 10. You have studied about the double helical structure of DNA. So they said DNA is made up of 2 helices or 2 helix or 2 strands, as we say, as we just studied. The DNA is made up of 2 strands from the molecular structure of DNA we just discussed previously. We said DNA is made up of 2 strands having anti-parallel directions. Okay, so if one strand is 5 prime, the other side is 3. So this opposite of 3 prime should be 5 prime, and the other side is 3. So this is the double helical structure of DNA. And then they also proposed, Watson and Crick also proposed that there is a particular type of arrangement of the nitrogenous bases in the DNA. In other words, there is a complementary pairing of bases that is there in the DNA. Like if there is adenine on one side of the DNA, the other side should have thymine, and there should be a double bonds in between adenine and thymine. If there is cytosine on one side, then there should be guanine on the other side. So in other words, A always bonds with T and G always bonds with C. So and also this idea that A bonds with T and G bonds with C came from the studies that the ratio of adenine to thymine and also guanine to cytosine was always found to be equal to 1, and this was found by a person known as Erwin Chargaff. So Erwin Chargaff, he studied the ratio of the nitrogenous bases, and it was found that the amount of adenine is always equal to the amount of thymine. Also, amount of guanine was always equal to cytosine, and therefore he put forward an idea that adenine should bond with thymine. Only in that case it would be, the ratio would be equal to 1. So A is to T is always equal to 1, and G is to T is always equal to 1. So this was also known as Chargaff's rules. So with the knowledge of this Chargaff's rules, that A bonds with T and G bonds with C, came the idea that A bonds with T and G bonds with C. So if we have an idea about the type of bases in one strand of DNA, like for example A, T, C, C, A, G, suppose this is the type of nitrogenous bases on one helix of DNA. Now we can easily find out the type of bases on the other strand of DNA. Like अर्कोपट्टि चाहिँ कुन चाहिँ हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ suppose this is the other strand, so A always bonds with T, we know that from Chargaff's rule. So therefore if we have the knowledge about the type of bases on one DNA, so we can predict the type of bases on the other helix of DNA. So A, T, T, A, C, G, C, G, A, T and G, C. So we can write the type of bases in the other DNA. So then came the idea that the process of duplication of DNA also takes place by reading the information that is there on one strand of the DNA, and this type of pairing of bases A, T, G, C pairing was known as complementary pairing of bases. So complementary pairing of bases, A always bonds with T and G always bonds with C. Okay, so that is complementary pairing of bases. So with this we will wind up for now, and in the next class we'll discuss more about the different salient features of the double helical structure of DNA.